This is Conversations with Mike Sparks.
Are you concerned with the state of America, your state, your community? Then you're in the right place. State Representative Mike Sparks. He and guests are here to talk about local politics, history, faith, and freedom.
All right. Listen to Conversation with Mike Sparks. I'm your host, Mike Sparks. We knock out some commercials and going to do a little something different tonight. I've never done this. I've invited some of my Kurdish friends up on the radio, and they've always been reluctant to come up. But got a Cameron Kurdi that's going to be joining us here in just a few. But to pay tribute for Veterans Day tomorrow is GOP Chairman Austin Maxwell. Austin, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good, Mike. How are you doing?
Well, you're really not too good because you told me you've been real sick the past couple of days, haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been real sick. I'm at home. I got a really bad cold. Not doing. I don't want to get out and get anybody else sick. But tomorrow's Veterans Day, and wanted to just kind of give a shout out to all my fellow veterans out there. Whether I've served with you or not, it's a great day. I think it's a special day in America, when we reflect and, pay homage to all those that have, served our country. And that's not just, the men and women that put on, but the families, that were behind them, when they went off to serve their country.
Yes, I appreciate you. The other day you loaned me some H brackets. I was out of the sign brackets, and very gracious there. And then you and I got talk. In fact, first time I'd ever asked you about your scars. Not something that most people are going to talk about, but are you okay? I mean, I'm putting you on the spot, talking about what you went through in Afghanistan. But you opened up and started talking about what happened when you were over there.
Yeah. The scar on the left side of my face. I got grazed, by a bullet.
Yeah.
I took one to the face, one through the neck collar, and one through the hip. But as I was telling you that day, we were out there chatting last week. I guess it was Monday.
Yeah.
I can kind of relate to President Trump. It's always kind of one of those things of, the guy to my right was killed. I was spared. And, if I'd been to my, left an inch or so, I probably wouldn't be here having this conversation. That story would have ended for me in 2006. Yes. And so, as I was telling you, when I was flown out that night to Kandahar Hospital, I always kind of thought about, okay, God has a purpose for me. He has allowed me to live. He has spared me. And, I discovered that purpose, in 2013, when our son passed away. It was like God knew He needed me to be here, for my family, with the passing of my son. He wasn't going to take me because He knew I needed to be here for what was eventually to happen. And I think in many respects, in the case of President Trump, back in July, he knew that he needed him here for this nation. And, the people spoke on last Tuesday night, and he's got 74 million votes and, a comfortable, 4 million vote margin. And I just think that's God's plan.
Yes. So. Well, you had, what touched me about you, I mentioned somehow, I think Claire was born at Seward Air Force Base where I was born. Yep. So her and I got talking about that. And then, I told you my dad served on the B-17s during World War II. And then you came in, you gave me 2 books about the 8th Air Force, and I appreciate that. My dad naturally is no longer here, but, you think the 58,300 Vietnam veterans that never returned home, they were just 22, 23 years old. And, those guys like my dad serving in the Army Air Corps at 22 and what they seen and what they experienced and then coming back, they truly were the greatest, generation. And I know it means a lot to you, Veterans Day, and I hope that folks will pay tribute tomorrow at different events.
Your dad's a special guy, Mike. I know he's no longer here, but you think about that generation. They left home, they sailed across the ocean, or flew a plane across the ocean, not knowing when or if they were going to come back. And they'd get in those planes that weren't heated, and get up to 20,000, 30,000 feet on oxygen, and doing something that'll never be replicated. You think about it, sitting over 100, 200, 500 bombers, having to defend themselves, against, Nazi Germany. And that'll never be replicated. And so what those guys did, that was really the war when you think about it for quite some time, until we were in North Africa, and we were in Italy. And we eventually got to Normandy. But for many years, the brunt of the war being fought was by people like your dad in the Army Air Corps.
I was sharing with you, I'd always hear stories. He'd always tell me stories. He'd say, when you see, one of the aircraft going, there went 10 men. There's 10 men that went, and a lot of times couldn't get out. And he was shot down, and he was able to bail out, and the pilot went down with the ship. But I remember him telling me about a firefight that stood out to me, and he was a waist gunner. And he said that, they got shot up, and the captain, the pilots, radio back, is everybody okay? And my dad was fine, everybody was fine, but the tail gunner said, Captain, they nicked me. And my dad had to go back, and, you've seen a B-17. It's a pretty tight compartment getting back there. He went back there, man. He said they was shot in the shoulder, and blood just everywhere, and he said he put compression on. He said that guy never complained, just said, Captain, they nicked me. And I thought, man, this dude's probably 21, 20, 19, 23, and that always stood with me.
Yeah, it's an amazing generation. It was an amazing generation in Korea, in Vietnam, and this generation. And so I'm glad that we're paying those respects to all our veterans. Hey, Mike, I think you've got a guest on, maybe, or maybe he was there previously.
Cameron Curdy. Do you know Cameron, Austin?
I don't know him. But when I was in Iraq, I had the pleasure of going up into Kurdistan. We would go up to Harbor Gate, which was up on the Turkish border, and that was where U.S. forces, a lot of the fuel would come in through Turkey there at Harbor Gate, and then we would escort it down to Mosul, and down to Speicher, and all these various other forward operating bases. But you can, first of all, Kurdistan, that part, it was like you'd go through Mosul and you'd say, my God, it was just bombed out and really, rough. And it was like a switch was flipped once you got up into Kurdistan. The Kurdish people and the Peshmerga, they didn't play around. They had a country, like he had said, it's an independent state, pretty autonomous. But the one thing I'll always remember, Mike, and you can relate to this, I was looking out of our MRAP as we headed to Harbor Gate, and I saw a Nissan dealership.
Oh,
and they had
really?
200.
He's working Nissan.
Yeah, there was a Nissan dealership.
Really? Okay.
I know you're in the car business, but it was probably 200 Nissan Sentras, and they were all white.
Really?
And so you could take your pick. You could get a white one, or a white one, or a white one.
Wow, that's interesting.
But I got a chuckle every time I rolled by that Nissan dealership. I just laughed. I said, well, I guess I'll go get me a white Nissan Sentra if I'm going to live here in Kurdistan, But beautiful part of the world, beautiful country, and really great people.
Well, Austin, one thing I'll say, I know you and I hung out here after the radio station. We were talking about the Republican Party, and you kind of shared some of your vision about kind of growing the party, and that's what Cameron had called me a couple times, called me last week. In fact, that's why I invited him on the radio, and he was really excited about the election, and so was I, by the way, and we got talking, and I was like, I'm going to have this guy come in, because he was like, Republican Party's got to do a better job of outreach, and which I think we do, but under your leadership, I think y'all have done a better job, and I think the recent elections kind of proves some of that. All of us, went back, the delegation and all. So Do you want to share a few words on that?
Well, the Republican Party, and I'll say this, people might get mad at me, but we need to break that mold of it's just a white guy's party.
Yeah.
No, it's a big tent party. It's a big tent for all Americans, white people, black people, Asian people, Kurdish people, Hispanic people, Latino people. Because I think we all share those same values. We want limited government interference. We want low taxes. And we're not into all this wokeism that the left has embraced. And I think that spoke.
Oh, loudly. Very loud.
On Tuesday.
Yep.
People were, well, it's about the economy and good jobs and making sure that you have good schools and good homes. And it spoke very loudly on Tuesday. So I think the party is headed in the right direction nationally, but we've still got work to do here.
Yes. Well, maybe we could get Cameron here to kind of help us with outreach. We'll put him to work. Well, thank you, Chairman. What are you taking to get over whatever you got?
I'm taking everything. I'm drinking lots of fluids, chicken soup, Mucinex. I'm taking everything.
Mucinex, yeah.
Just keep my lungs clear and rest up. But thanks for all you do, Mike, and congratulations on
thank you. Thank you for your help. Thank you for those books. It really meant a lot.
Yeah, they're good books. When I read it, it gave me a new appreciation. I meant what I said about your dad. That is truly a generation that did something that'll never ever be done again.
Amen. Thank you so much, Chairman. Have a good one.
Okay. See you, Mike. Take care.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Let's take a quick break, Connor. We'll be right back.
Josh Moss with Affordable Heating and Cooling provides residential HVAC and duct cleaning services to the Middle Tennessee area. With more than 20 years of experience, Josh Moss and the AHC team provide 24/7 service and take care to ensure whatever work you need done is done in a professional, timely manner. Contact AHC at 615-745-1676. That's 615-745-1676, or go to their website at affordableheatingandcoolingtn.com.
Most people know that their insurance can provide them with coverage for the many life's mishaps, but I can help you also unlock discounts, save money, and get benefits with Farmers Insurance policy perks. Whether we're discussing home or auto insurance, I am here to help you understand these great perks. Call me, Mark Lewis, at 615-625-7070 for a quote, and you can get a whole lot of something with Farmers policy perks.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Not available in every state. Only available with select Farmers branded policies underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliates.
Mike and Felicia Sparks, owner of the Vanity Zone Salon, want to invite you to stop in for your next haircut or color. Their stylists Michelle, Tori, Tracy, Brandy, Sarah, and Gail offer the best creative cuts and color for all ages, for men and women. The Vanity Zone is located at 732 Nissan Drive in Smyrna, to the right of the Crystals Restaurant. To look and feel your best, visit the Vanity Zone Salon today. Call 615-355-1721 to book your next appointment.
At Dr. Automotive in Smyrna, from oil changes to major engine and transmission repairs, we've got the cure for your car. Let's hear from customers of Dr. Automotive.
He does a good job. He lets you know what's going on and do it at a good price.
Danny does a lot in our community, so he's very involved and invested.
I recommend family, friends. Danny is spot on because he'll suggest what I need to do, and of course, I've never had an issue.
For quality care you can trust, visit Dr. Automotive in Smyrna. We've got the cure for your car.
All right, we're back. Conversation Mike Sparks. That was Austin Max we had on just now. Really appreciate Austin's service. And yes, first time I'd ever asked him. You see somebody with a scar. You don't want to ask them about their scar, but can you imagine being shot in the face and then shot in the shoulder, shot again? That's one dude I wouldn't want to have to tangle with.
Have you heard the story about? I can't remember who it was. He was either. I don't want to piss anybody else off out there, but it's like I want to say he was like. He might be Delta or he might be Marine Recon, but this guy, you probably read the story, but he was shot like umpteen times, and he still was able to. He shot back at them. He killed the terrorist, and he was able to like get onto the helicopter and get out. Have you read that story?
I hadn't seen that.
I can't remember if he's Marine Recon or Delta, but it was one of them. most badass stories I've ever.
That is cool. You gotta be careful.
Whoops.
Let's go to Roger, who doesn't have a potty mouth. Go ahead, Roger.
Sorry. The only one
You're
here
talking
does
about
it.
some elections.
Yeah. First of all, I want to congratulate Mike on his win.
Thank you.
State rep, 49th district, and how many times is that, Mike? Is that your third hitch or your fourth?
No. It's 8, 7, 8.
Okay, and you got about 8 more to go, right? When you
I
might
don't know if
retire then.
I'm getting old, man. I ain't got that kind of energy no more.
And also the local town council, Raquel Peebles reelected, and also Steve Sullivan, and our new one, your buddy Jerome Dempsey. I know y'all, pretty tight. Jerome's a good guy, and also we have our
Carolyn. You got Raquel Peebles.
Yeah, Raquel and Steve Sullivan.
Steve, yeah.
And the one opening was actually filled by Jerome Dempsey.
Yes, yeah.
But also, we're having our Veterans Day tomorrow at Smyrna at the Coos Memorial at 11 o'clock. Invite everybody to come on out and check that out. And a couple more little things. Keep in mind the chili cook-off coming January the 4th at Sam Davis' home. And as it gets closer, we'll be collecting up speakers and times and things like that, and special guests and all that.
We're hoping to have Mary Watkins.
Hope to have Governor Lee also.
We'll invite Governor Mark Lewis. We're doing the prayer breakfast. So that'll start at 7:30?
Yeah, 7:30 last year with the prayer breakfast, and I think it ended about, that was a great one we had before, wasn't it? That was.
Oh, it really was. I mean, we had so many speakers there. Pettis Reed, Dr. Murphy, Paul Lamb, and who's your buddy out of Sam Davis, the Sam Davis Lodge?
Oh, God, I would have told you behind it. Gary the Few, he talked about that. That was that was really good. People didn't realize that when he did that. He talked about that.
And then Old Jefferson, we got Dr. Nash, Trish Nash, hopefully coming.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Jones.
Yeah, Mr. Jones will probably be our Old Jefferson speaker this time.
95-year-old Mr. Jones.
And I think Alan Searcy, the
story,
we invited him
last week.
But we'll get it all as it gets close. Sometimes people will drop out, and some can and some can't. But we'll have it hammered down, a couple of weeks, and then that way you know what time. If you want to come just see one speaker, if you want to come see them all. But a little bit of bluegrass music like we did last year probably, and all the chili you want to eat.
Paul Lamb and Rayburn, Derek.
Yeah, different ones. Let's say who else is in the Paul Lamb band? And Tommy Francis. It just depends. There's about 15 or 20 of them.
Oh, really?
It just see who's available. Yes, that he can bring. He might not even be, but he always sets us up with some musicians. If he can't come. So
what day is that?
That's pretty good.
What day is that?
January the 4th. It's Saturday 4th. Yeah, it's right after. Yeah, it's the party after New Year's. It's the it's the good party. All the chili you can eat, man. Hey, it'll be a good one.
And thank you to
and
Tony
door
Campbell.
prizes.
And who's your car show people that helped us so much?
Oh, yeah, the Mid-10 Hot Rodders. They'll have probably one
Who's
invite
that little sweet lady, Christy?
Oh, that's Christy Pugh.
Christy Pugh.
And then Mike Morton and his wife.
And then Jerry, Tony's buddy.
I know he's got
55
that
red 55 Chevy.
Oh, yes, nice too. Yeah. It's Tony Campbell's buddy, but it's a little bit of something for everybody.
Yeah,
it's a little something for everybody.
How's your work coming along?
It's coming along great.
That's
coming along great. I'm still. I told Roger over there when we were coming in. I forgot your name. I'm sorry. I'm in limbo right now, and Rogers. What'd you say when I told you that I'm in limbo right now?
Yeah, about the job. I asked him about the job that's coming. He said he's in limbo. I said, well, you hadn't heard a no, so you're
that's good.
That's okay.
Well, I was over at Smyrna Police today. Coca-Cola invited me over. They fed all the officers.
Really?
Man, they fed them.
I thought you did.
No, they gave me credit, but I didn't. I told the chief. It was funny. He called me out in front of everybody. He's like, thank you, Representative Sparks, for buying everybody lunch. I said, no, I didn't. Full transparency is Coca-Cola.
He took credit. No,
Mark Atkins is sitting there. Just take credit, man. Just shut up. Take credit. But it was a pinning ceremony. It's really touching. They had a pinning ceremony, and so shout out to those 4 new officers. But I thought that was really sweet of Coca-Cola. They also fed Laverne officers.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to give a shout out my late dad. He was Air Force. He was
your
Air
father?
Force. Yeah. And also this is the Veterans Day. My uncle got killed in Normandy. You remember that?
Well, you were a guest speaker at the Veterans Day.
I was about 3 years ago talking about him.
Yep.
But anyway, Air Force just like yours. But he was over at Seward.
Yeah.
But he was actually like what they call Silver Service. He was over guys, but I know when the Pentagon or the Cuban crisis happened, he had to go to the Pentagon.
Oof.
I
That's a
remember
big
that.
deal.
So I don't know what my dad actually did. Never did really know. So.
Well, it's a big deal. You know, Mr. Jones, this is interesting for people that are history buffs that may want to be there January 4th. If Mr. Jones, he remembers, because he was on air with us, he remembers driving down or riding down Jefferson Pike before Seward Air Force Base was even constructed.
Wow.
That's like weird. I'm like, I couldn't even comprehend that because I'm just used to the base just always being there.
Yeah.
But that's how old he is, you know. He's working on a book. But anyways, let's jump into Cameron. It's Kurdi, right?
Kurdi, yes.
Kurdi. Now, is that really your last name, or you're just?
No, my last name is Abdullah, actually.
Oh, okay.
I go
You just
by
call it Kurdi because it's
Cameron
easy?
Kurdi because like Kurdish, you know.
Kurdish,
like-
okay.
So the reason I chose Kurdi because I wanted just people ask what is the Kurdi is, you know, and the
Yeah.
Kurdish.
Yeah.
Basically, I can tell the whole history of the Kurdish, you know,
Okay.
where they came.
Because you and I, we met what, a year or two ago, or somehow you called me, or I called you.
I called you. You had like a car for sale, so I called you.
Okay, you called me
and,
about
we
something.
talked. Yeah, you said where you
Okay.
from. I said from Kurdistan. You talk about Z, you know. so
You're not the
you
guy I
buy-
bought the tires from, are you?
No.
There's another Kurdish guy I bought some tires from.
No.
Yeah.
I'll sell you some cars, but you haven't.
Well, see, you know, I bought and I'm probably gonna get in trouble saying this, but I'm gonna just be real. I remember when I was looking for a black Impala, and if Z's listening, which I'm sure he is, and all his brothers, I seen him at a distance. I really want to deal with him. I'll just be honest with you, man. You know, the car business, and I was like, who's this guy? And we became friends. He gave me a good deal. Bought another car. Bought another car. Bought another car. Bought another car. And one day, you know Dilshad, don't you? You know Dilshad.
Yeah. Yes.
Dilshad. He says, "Look what we have," and it was a Harley. It was a Road King or Fat Boy or something. Come up here, look at this bike. And none of them knew how to ride a motorcycle, so I knew I was going to get a good deal. And I'm going to tell you what, man. I said, hey, I'll buy it if you give me. Will you give me 60 days? I'll pay you half now, 60 days. And they did it. You know, I bought, I think, 26 cars from these guys.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a good deal on a car, go see Z or Dilshad or Ray or Baywar over there at Auto World Smyrna by the Old Bell Furniture.
Yeah, well, they are great. Actually, Z came last week. We talk about you. You know, was
Was
first
it
time
good?
to visit me. Yeah, of course. I call you. You know, you call me back later.
Yeah.
So that's like one thing about the Kurdish. You know, Kurdish. Very family oriented, like guests too. So if you go to Kurdistan, like especially the soldiers, I call them brothers. When we were there stations, they always like to feed you, and we have good food too. You know, we have good restaurant in here. You know, as the saying going, food and music gather everybody. You
Amen.
know,
Yeah.
So that's something we all share through all the cultures. You know,
Yeah.
and the Kurdish hospitality is just like the Southern hospitality.
Yeah, I've
That's what
noticed
it
that.
Remind me, you know. And a lot of people say, hey, why Kurdish came to Nashville? Why they selected? A lot of times we say the climate is very similar, but it's all family oriented. You know, the religion, the faith,
Yeah.
also. So that's basically the culture of Kurdish. And Kurdish, as we talk about, they are just warriors. Their struggle is for independence. You know, unfortunately, they've been the victims throughout the regional conflict. You know what's going on, but the good thing is, it's just like we basically fighting for our freedom. And it's like in Turkey, for example, if you take Turkey, like in Article 11 and 12 of the Turkish constitution, is stated there is only one nation and one language. So there was a Kurdish independent, Kurdish activist, you know, like a city council, just like you, when she got elected, and she wanted to go swear, you know, like she said, can I say it in my mother tongue, you know, native?
Yeah.
She spoke in Kurdish, because only like she spoke is like kind of like blasphemy to the Turkish state. They sentenced her to 28 years in prison. It's called Leyla Zana. Everybody can name her.
Really?
Yes, 28 years just speaking in your tongue language, because in Turkey,
Wow.
yeah, basically you just like, according to them interpretation, you basically breaking a taboos. So that's in Turkey.
28 years.
28 years, yes.
Wow.
Leyla Zana, Laylazana. You can do it.
Well, I went
and-
to Vanderbilt with I guess y'all had a Kurdish diplomat or something that was visiting Vanderbilt. You were probably there. Z invited me. This
There
is at
was
least six years
Ministry
ago.
of Human Rights. You know, if that was the case, Dr. Ihsan. If it was,
It's
did
a
he
it's a
show
female.
like a female? Maybe she was a Kurdish representative, actually.
I wish I knew the name. I got to meet with her. Really, really nice. You know.
Yeah. Well, do you know Nashville is a sister city of Hawler, which we call it name Arbil, which is the capital of the Kurdistan region. They are like the sister cities now.
Yeah. The well, one thing that Z and his brothers and you know, folks don't know Kurdish people. They're sweet people. I mean, you know, y'all, everybody's just so nice and you know, I'll talk about my faith to them. And I had one guy in Nashville. It's kind of funny. We were in the break room, and there was an intern that was from Kurdistan or Kurdish parents, and you know, everybody knows everybody.
Yes.
I mean, it seems like everybody knows everybody.
We're very connected. Yeah. Yes.
And this other lawmaker, I got to talk about the Kurdish people and my friends, and he said, "Man, are you not scared?" I was like, "Scared? Scared of what?" And I said, "Dude, I'd trust my Kurdish friends, and I would most 95% of lawmakers up here, you know." And I'll talk about my faith, talk about Jesus, talk about Joseph, you know, having dreams. In fact, that was our Sunday school lesson this morning, and the biblical account of I guess y'all call it, is it Yusuf? Y'all call Joseph Yusuf.
Joseph
okay.
Yusuf, yes.
And what he went through, sold out into slavery by his brothers, but he found forgiveness. And I was saying in Sunday school, forgiveness is the hardest thing. It's the hardest thing for me. I mean, it really is difficult. Like my late father that we were talking about, you know, he was married 5 times. He'd struggle with forgiveness, you know.
So, Michael,
but how do y'all deal with that?
Well, the Kurdish are very tolerant, very diverse. We do have Christianities, like, for example, Yazidis or Yazidis. You know, if you Google Yazidi woman, they have like blue eyes, you know, blonde hairs. So the Yazidis, if you remember ISIS in 2014, they went, like in August 2014 when they came to Mosul, they straightly went to Yazidis, which I call them indigenous Kurdish, you know, because they basically have intermarriages. I kind of say maybe I hope there was like a DNA researchers, you know, they do basically why they haven't been changes. But ISIS, they went for them basically because according to ISIS, the Yazidis, they worship fire, which is not, you know. We have a Kurdish New Year, March 21st, which is the first day of spring. We lit fires. You know, back at days, there was no communications. So when you live in mountains, you lit fires so that people can see you and they will dance around it. So the fire is a symbol of enlightenment. So if you go back to before Christianity, there is Zoroaster, you know. The Zoroaster, he was just kind of like a philosopher. Some people, they say he was like a messenger. His philosophy is very simple. It's say positive thinking, positive attitude, positive behaviors. So the Kurdish basically, they do forgive. Like if you've seen pictures when the ISIS went for those Yazidi women, I was there. We do have Kurdish Yazidi Peshmergas. So when the liberations or the fighting of Mosul come, the ISIS leaders, they were brought their families with the pickup truck. We call it Hilux, like the Toyotas. They call it the ISIS. In the night time, they will let them to go to the Kurdish because they told them the Kurdish, they would not harm you. They don't rape you. Just like, I seen them. I have ton of pictures where they basically, you know, burqa is when they cover their faces. They basically was kind of when they come into Kurdish, they feel liberated. They throw all their clothes. So
that was the ISIS
leaders,
family.
ISIS leaders.
The leaders' families.
Yeah. So the same ISIS, when their fathers, they went for Yazidi women, they capture 4,000, they separate women, children, they enslave the women actually. Recently, through the Gaza, you know, when Israel, they found one Kurdish Yazidi woman. It was enslaved and it was basically transported to Gaza. The IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, when they found her, actually liberated her. They handed to American forces, and American forces, they basically take it back to Kurdistan. That was on the news.
Really?
Yes, she been there since 2014, and she been married several times, actually, you know. That was sad. The Yazidi, they've been going through genocide 72 times, basically. 72. And they still exist. They live on the top of mountains. They are very tolerant. So what the story was, when they capture the ISIS, they were given water. They treat them very well because in our culture, we do have the rule of engagement. The prisoners, basically, especially women and children, you treat them really good. That's how the Kurdish has always been. And despite that, like many times American betray Kurdish. We have a saying, we say no friend but mountains.
Yeah, I was fixing to say that.
That's like one. But despite all that, the Kurdish always come back. Everybody give like a hand. They become a partner because they see everybody like a brother and sisters. You know, it's like a family. We are like a family in this, and that's it's go back so deep. And as we say, and we have Kurdish everywhere. My father used to say, actually, my father came in here in 1996 with my sisters. They were helping American organizations. And Saddam back then, he made a decree. He said anybody was basically collaborating or helping American forces, I'll execute them. Though in Congress, it was during Bill Clinton, they passed resolutions to help. You know how they have special visa for interpreters, family coming? So when he came, he applied for us. I came in 1999 as asylum. But my father was saying, you know, we've been struggling so many years. These countries, they use chemical gas, they use genocide against us. I think USA is treating very well. We should ask them to give us like independent, like autonomy in here. He was making like a joke, but the show, and US has been a partner actually.
Yeah.
So what I'm hoping, and I hear, because since the election of Donald Trump, which I'm very happy, and I've been 3 times I voted for him actually, 2020, you know, I know he will win. Because to me, 3 things was very important in these elections. You know, like economy was down. Everybody know as a business person, we know the inflation's, the high prices of gas, grocery. And I was worried for my children's futures. You know, what indoctrination is going on. You know, we need safety and security. Because we run away from prosecution of oppressions. I don't like, I came, you know, I'm a libertarian thinking, you know, give me death or liberty, Patrick Henry. So I don't like a government to shove things in my mouth, you know, because when you say my body, my choice, the same go for vaccine, the same go for my children. I want to educate my children. I don't want to give it to somebody, you know, like I don't know that person, you know, because the children are the future of this country. The leaders coming from our children, you know. That was the second issues. You know, I worry about their safety, prosperity. And Donald Trump, in his speech, he said, you say, I fight every breath on my body for you and for your children. Make sure, you know, they have a better future. And the third part is foreign policy. I've been in war. I've seen war. War is destruction. The endless war that we have. We should quit, be honest with you, these wars. We haven't got anything back. 20 years in Afghanistan, and we left. We left about $700 billion, all the weapons. You know, that was sad. What's going on in Iraq is the same thing. We're supposed to take democracy. Now there's a lot of corruption going on. But Trump is not pro-war, you know, and that's what something I do like it. I'm a warrior, but sometimes you're not going to send your children to some places that.
So when you heard what Trump said about Liz Cheney, did you kind of understand what he was getting at?
Yeah, of course.
What did you think about that?
I mean, be honest with you, it's just like there's a lot of hypocrisy going on. I don't want to name anything, but what's going on, we know her father's, you know, Halliburton. People remember that.
Exactly.
So he was profiting a lot of things from the Iraq war, you know. And one thing about Trump is fascinating. He's very honest. He speaks what's in his heart, you know. That's why we say he's not politicians, you know. So he tell it, how is it? And I'm the same thing I go. You have to be very honest. I think Jimmy Carter promised that he will not lie, you know, when he get elected to the office. I think we have a problem with the trust. The people doesn't trust the media. You know how's it? Yeah, so of course, you know, it was like, it was not only Kamala Harris basically lose. You know who corporate media lost.
Corporate media. Oh, I agree.
Know?
I agree.
Trump got 95% of negative coverage from the media. The media attacked him. You know how the debate was, basically. They were fact-checking him, and she was going basically. We know how. So I know all of this. We can go talk about it. But what I'm saying is the media is dead. You know, we have, during FDR, the radio was new medium technology. He used it. And the first debate was between Nixon and JFK. So, you know, Democrats were smart back then. So people went listen to, because all the heat, you know.
Nixon was sweating.
Yeah, he was sweating. So the people, when they did a survey, when they listened to the radio, they said Nixon was won. But because they know how to dress, smile, like Donald Trump would say, just smile, that's it, that's enough, you know, even if you don't have any content.
Does your feelings ever get hurt by Donald Trump's tweets or anything?
No, because I'm not emotional voters, brother. I am policy. You know, I love Trump because his policies help. You know, every family was getting about $3,000-$4,000 getting back. We got the first time after 60 years energy independent. You know, I love it. I expect that the oil price will come down. We're going to have really good
I think so. Look at the
years
stock
was
market,
coming. Yeah,
you know?
the stock market was rising.
I mean, people just got to have hope. I mean, it's just getting hopeless. I mean, you see with the craziness in the news, you see the media, and you see like going back what you
He's
just
a
mentioned
fighter.
about indoctrination in schools. I'm hearing that from
Oh, my God.
from a lot of. I was at an event the other day. It was folks that were Hindu, folks that were from South Sudan, folks from Ethiopia, folks from Africa, and that was brought up a lot.
Okay,
in
so
the public school system. Do you think that's really happening?
This is very important, brother. We all here in this country is like American experiment, you know?
Yeah.
If the country prosper, we all prosper.
Yes.
We all need to live in peace, okay?
Yes, sir.
So if we need to educate our children, not indoctrinate our children,
Yes.
you know? So we are behind in science. Go compare with other countries, you know? We are behind in many ways. In school is not a place for activists, you know?
Amen.
And these children, they cannot differentiate between fantasy
Yeah.
and reality.
Yeah.
You know, you come indoctrinate them, you tell them in certain ways, you confuse them, you know?
Yes.
We should basically not confuse our children. In that stage, you should help them, you know, like teach them critical thinking actually.
Oh, amen.
Like civil, we should,
Yeah.
you know, I got 2 bachelor degree in this country. I didn't go to elementary, not high schools. But I appreciate what my children learn in here. You know, in college, I learn a lot of stuff. Be diligent, work hard. You know.
Yes.
So I'm glad in here we do teach our children. One thing I wanna, if nobody, everybody listening here get this point. Republican Party need to be inclusive, just like how Democrat use minority. But I know Republican Party, like Abraham Lincoln, 1856, when he found Republican Party. He liberated Emancipation of Proclamation.
Yeah.
We are the party of liberations.
Exactly.
We free people. We empower people. Why Democrat taking all of these ideas? We don't use it, you know, as your guest
Well, they
speaker said.
leverage
You know, so
the media. 90% of the media is
Now
controlled
the-
by 5 huge corporations.
the Republican coalition, look at the Trump coalition he got. He got 45% of Latino vote. He got like black people was education of high school. I read 20%, but he got 13% of the black population. In
Yes.
2016 was 7%. It went up. So he got woman vote. Do you know in Michigan who basically helped Trump? The Muslim, Arab Muslim
that's what
helped.
I
In
had- I
Deer,
had
in
heard
Deer
that.
Michigan, you know, they have 150,000
Who'd have
registered.
ever thought that?
In Pennsylvania, who helped Trump? Amish. So sometimes
Yeah.
we take for granted.
That's-
There's a book actually you
wow.
should read about it. There's a scientist, scholars, a political scholars. He did a research, I believe, from like 1870 to 1900. He said most of the election was won in Midwest counties. It was religion groups actually took
Yeah.
it. You know.
What was a
So-
group, and somebody at church shared with me, there was a couple of counties in Texas that have never voted Republican, and they voted Republican for the first time.
No, it's
In like 50 years, but they were counties on the border.
In Nevada, we have
not
the
Mormons.
Mom
Those
for
are Utah.
Liberty. You know, there was
Mom
a
for
move,
Liberty?
Mom
Yeah, they've
for
been on the
Liberty
radio
in
with me.
Nevada. Okay,
Mhm.
so they play a huge role because they were against this doctrination. And the first, you see, the red wave when it came, actually, California is almost red. You know, we're going to get California back. You know, so
You think?
I'm sure people are tired. Yes, I talk to people. You know,
I mean, I've seen the map.
we don't give too much
It
credit
is-
to the
it's
American
what,
people because
60% red on the counties, but take California is going to be very,
so what
very
I'm saying,
challenging.
Trump has a mandate actually. Trump should make this country great, but the people too. We need diversity. The country should, any political party reflects the diversity, and the reality is going to win. The future. The future is, I don't like to call anybody minorities because we're all in American experience. We
Yes.
need like a kind of national political party which
Yeah.
will be for everybody.
Yes.
You know,
Yes,
and
sir.
I'm happy I see Vivek Ramaswamy.
Yeah.
He's really intelligent guy.
Oh,
you
I
know?
like him.
So
Yeah.
we should bring more people like him. And look at the Trump team. Who Elon Musk? We're going to have really
Yeah.
Trump created the Space Force. Was it in December 2020 or
20.
19?
19
So we're
probably.
going to have more exploration. I think my expectation is we're living in kind of like JFK era, 1960s. And the slogan is, do not ask what the government can do for you.
Ask what you can do for
Ask
your
what we can
government.
do. We all have the duty to
Perfect.
help
Yes.
and rebuild this country. That's what I'm in it. And I'm ready for any volunteer work, for
Do for your
anything.
country, yeah.
We should engage
Well, I'm
everybody.
sure Austin's listening right now. We need to get you involved. You know, I want to go back because I think this is very intriguing about the three wise men. I remember when I first got to know Z and Dilshed and Baywar and all them. I went to Baywar's wedding, by the way.
Okay.
And when my mom died,
Did you like it?
Oh yeah, man! Y'all get down at weddings. I was,
Yeah, you see women and men
y'all dancing and
dance,
I had
different
to
colors. You
dance.
see the Kurdish clothes is so different
He's a dancer.
colors. Oh, he is.
And I got
We will
extra
invite him.
Caucasian syndrome.
You know, my
I can't walk.
my
I can't
first
dance very
business,
well.
my first business was wedding, like recording weddings. So I do
Oh
have.
really?
Yes.
Oh, I mean, seriously, I got up dance with them. I didn't know if y'all gonna be throwing plates around, like throwing plates.
No, we
you know,
don't.
in
But
China.
the food
that's
is
the,
good.
That's the Greeks.
The food is good. We have really the best food. Like
Oh, they're
kebab,
such sweet
you know.
people.
Yeah.
But here's something I thought was really intriguing. When they were telling me, they're like, yeah, the three wise men were Kurdish. I'm thinking,
Okay.
yeah, right. And I started researching some of this, and really, because they came from that area.
Yeah.
And so there, if folks want to look this up, we're getting close to Christmas. I just thought it was neat because as a Christian, you have wise men seeking Jesus, seeking this prophecy, and to me, someone that's atheist or just secular could find this intriguing, even if not a Christian. They can say, "Well, what is going on here? What about prophecy?" And I got to speak at MTSU a while back in a class, and I got to talk about my faith in the class, and I said, even if you don't believe in the Bible, you got to believe in mathematics. You got to believe in probability. Look at the top of almost every industry: medicine, technology, finance. A lot of them are Jewish people. I mean, look at the Nobel Peace Prize winners. And why is this little bitty tiny nation size New Jersey, what, a third of the size of Tennessee, being so persecuted? So to me, and I had a little girl come up to me from Nepal, the country of Nepal, and she just told me in class, she just want to let you know I'm studying Christianity. Then she called me a few months ago, and she was getting baptized. I just thought, you never know where my mom was a strong believer that she always said the word will never return void. Whatever word you plant, it'll always be positive. Now, how going back on the y'all coming over in 1999, you came over in 99, right?
I came 1999. So the Kurdish in Nashville, it was a NPT, the Nashville Public Television. They did a series of documentaries. It's called Next Door Neighbor. One of the series is about the Kurdish. You can guys look at it on YouTube. So the Kurdish waves came in 70s. In 1974, Algeria Accord happened. When the Shah of Iran was Saddam in Algeria, basically they agree to stop helping the Kurdish. So the Shah of Iran basically closed the borders. The Kurdish revolution back then, it was Mustafa Barzani, the leader actually. They gave up the weapon and they went to Iran. From Iran, they went to Russia. But after that, there was another political party named PUK, Patriotic Union of Kurdistan. Those warriors, they stay in Kurdistan. They started revolutions, And that's the one wave came in 1974. There's another wave came in 80s during where the chemical gas enfalization is happened. Remember, Saddam was very brutal to Kurdish. In Halabja, he killed 5,000 Kurdish and wounded about 15,000. We had some of them were living in here when they came, lost almost like 70% of lungs. They were on oxygens.
Wow.
Also in 1999, Desert Storm happened, when the Saddam invaded the Kuwait and we liberated Kuwait. There was another one. Basically, a lot of people went to Turkey, fled because Iraqi tanks, they came back. The Kurdish were uprising. The George Bush father was said, but suddenly we stopped to march towards Baghdad. We were not ready to take Saddam out because there was no alternative.
Okay.
So the Shia got uprisings in south. They show the opportunity and the Kurdish, but Saddam came basically oppressed brutally. But what we got is called safe haven. We did non-fly zone in northern Iraq when the Kurdish basically fled to Iran and Turkey. That's how the Kurdistan semi-independent. We call it KRG, Kurdistan Regional Government. Now, since 2005, is part of the Iraqi constitution. Is like a federal system. Is independent, and we have the largest U.S. Actually consulate in Erbil, and we have the largest U.S. embassy in Baghdad in the whole world. So there was
Z was sharing with me. I forgot what camp. I guess it's concentration camp. They were in refugee camp, and he was showing me a video. And I guess that's what they had put out. If I've got the story right, I guess the milk. Was it the milk was poisoned?
Well, I had a lot of stories that need to confirm, but one story recently, some of the women were pregnant, the Kurdish. There was sloppy. Some cities, when you cross over in Turkey, they were saying when they went to hospital, they didn't come back with their children, actually. You know, ISIS did to the Yazidis. They took their children, they indoctrinated. Here's something, this is truthful, I want to tell you. This is how I discovered. The left go for our children through the school. They indoctrinate them. They want to break the family. The Islamists in Middle East, like Brotherhood, they take the children's, they basically they give them weapons, you know, they train them, just like how you seen Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan. These children, they were shaking their heads, you know, in schools. Basically, they indoctrinate them to become martyrs, kill them.
Wow.
Khomeini did in Iraq-Iran war. Khomeini was the supreme leader of Iran after revolution of Iran 1979. He gave a key to all the Iranian soldiers. They said, when you die is a holy war. You go to paradise, and here is a key. You enter.
Wow.
So there's a lot of doctrination going.
Yes.
The ideology. One thing I like about Trump, he doesn't have any ideology. You know, sometimes ideology can blind you. You know, it's like the veil of ignorance.
Yeah.
And
So when he was shot, when Trump was shot, how did you see that? Did you see it?
I was
happened?
in work. I believe it was Saturday. I work. My neighbor, she came out, Lainey. You know, she said, "Do you know some of them I hear on the news got shot?" She was not sure, so I opened my phone. I was so angry, actually, really, when he say, and I went back home. We look at the TV. We open. It was something. I said, "Why they want to kill him?" You know, basically. And I know sometimes Trump joke. He said, "You guys say I'm a threat to democracy. I took a bullet for democracy." You know, he is good. Like he make things turn it.
But
into...
how would the Secret Service? I mean, let that lapse like that.
There was
I mean,
videos, people showing, saying, "Hey,
there's the guy on the building,
you know, like
it's
just pointing him out.
Something just highly suspicious.
Well, look at it how he got saved. You know, I don't want to go like he basically, if he wasn't turned, it's like by what is it, inch or what, like or centimeter actually. It's something. You know, if you believe in higher power, anything, something interfere there. You know, I seen war.
Definitely.
Sometimes when you see war, you know, we have near-death experience. Some people coming back in life. You know, so I am into a lot of like spirituality stuff like that. I think we're gonna transform to new era, singularity and quantum. You know, we all connected.
Yeah.
So if you go by theology, we say we are all son and brother of Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
Even if you go by evolution, we come from single cell. We still the same thing.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
both talk about the
brothers in
same
some
thing.
way.
We all brother and sister. I don't understand why we fighting each other over color, over some stuff we created.
I blame a lot of it on corporate media. They keep us all divided.
Yeah, that's true. Look, the same media, after September 11, the same media, when they call Arab stuff like terrorism stuff divided, now they call the white people, what do they call them? Domestic terrorism. You see, the same media play everybody against each other. Yeah, they play you, basically.
Yeah.
Is divide and conquer.
Yeah.
So that's why we need to unite everybody, because we share more common things than what separates.
Well, it's like Reagan said, if I find something that agrees with me 80% of the time, that's 80% friend, not 20% traitor. You know, I had a buddy of mine, I'll share this with you real quick. I used to work at Nissan in my 20s, and I was training a guy, and Freddie Hall was his name, and training him, I was going to day shift, and he would take my place, and so I go day shift. I left day shift after a couple of years and started my own car business, you know, down Jefferson Pike. And Freddie come by, the guy that, and there was more to the story which I won't share on the air. It's really pretty strange. But Freddie come by my car lot. My mother was there, and he says, "Mike, I've been deployed to Iraq. I need a truck, and I happen to have a nice GMC." My mom was there. My mom was very strong. She passed 2 years ago, and she said, "Son, can I pray with you?" And so we prayed with him, and about 8 months later, he got killed in Iraq. And his son hangs out with me, Spencer, and you know, so I'm thinking to myself, you know, here this guy gives his life. He was blown out of a Humvee. General Holmes, Jeff Holmes, I remember him telling me the story. That and we were, in fact, we're at the governor's mansion or residence at Christmas a few years ago, that they swapped places, him and I guess like the gunner swapped places, and that guy survived, but he's burned like 80% of his body, and then I get sent to the state capitol.
Mike, let me tell you something quick. I don't know how much time we have.
We got a few minutes. Go ahead.
I saw one of your video when I look at your Facebook. There was like a sheriff patrol helping somebody change a tire. I think you did recently. Yeah, you said, folks, you asking why these. This is small things. It makes big difference. So this is a real story. When we were stationed, I was in Iraq 2017 to 2019. So we had to go to Erbil, which is the capital of Kurdistan, where the airport is, to pick up our guys when they come in, actually.
Okay.
We were stationed in Suleimaniya. We have, I was working with the Navy SEALs. I work with the General Navy SEAL, too many departments when I went to. So when we pick up our guys, we were in F-150s, and we have also armor vehicles. We call it Land Cruisers. You know? So the guys were new, they didn't know about the road. And I was always in the first car because I was interpreter. We stopped, there was checkpoints. You have to tell them. So they have speed bumps, huge concrete speed bumps in there. The guys hit it with the F-150s. They go over it pop up the tires. So we were basically a little bit far away. We got on the radio, hey, we have problem. It was maybe we were 2 miles away. By the time we went back, what happened? There was 2 Kurdish civilians basically showed the tire was exploded. They stopped. They helped our guys, Navy SEAls. So our chief, he was before that, he was stationed in the middle of the Iraq, which is Fallujah. The Fallujah when happened, the Marines. He was kind of is remind his memories. He said, Cam, get these guys away. He thought this is Baghdad over there, people come in. I said, hey, brother. And the guys were helping, actually. And after that, they were talking in Kurdish language. They said, hey, our house in the corner. Do you guys want to come have some tea? Because the hospitality, I said, brother, these guys, they helping you, actually. After that, they felt some kind of, regret. They say, so every time when we go everywhere, we saw those kinds of help. When you stop, something happened, the people will come help you. We have actually one time when we came back, we had an accident. One of our car flipped. There was a lot of people rushed to help the scene. So that's what you see. And a lot of this transformed a lot of soldiers, because they came with a kind of idea. These people are against us, like the media, how portrayed, they hate you. But the reality will hit over there when they go. They said, actually, I had one Navy SEAL guy, he got his welding machines. He said, after September 11, when my brother got hurt, actually, I saw a lot of destruction. I want to help these people on the ground. Do you see how our soldiers, brave soldier is that they say the land of the free because of the brave?
Amen.
And I respect them, especially the family sacrifice,
Well, thank you so much. We're about out of time, folks. We'll catch up with you next week.